Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Connor Doherty is an executive director of Bell for Business. He's been networking since he was just 16 and is still often the youngest person in the room. He says that you shouldn't overlook someone as a potential decision maker just because of their age. This week's episode is kindly sponsored by the Empowered Extend podcast. Listen out for more information later in the show. Thank you very much for being my podcast guest today, Connor.
Thank you. It's great to be on here, so thank you for the invite to the podcast.
Now, you were one of my very early guests back in 2021. I think I recorded you around July of that year. So I'm sure things have moved on for you since then. So I'm looking forward to a bit of a catch up. Now, you're executive director at Bell for Business and you've been there for 7 years now. So tell me, how has your role changed in that time?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it has completely evolved. So like you said, started 7 years ago. I was age 16, literally just turned 16, straight from school. Wasn't actually 100% sure what I wanted to kind of do with my life. And then I started as an apprentice at Bell for Business, mainly because, I mean, at Bell for Business, to give you a little bit of background on the company, we do outsourced office support. So it's accounts admin, social media management, telephone answering, general admin. We cover a whole range of services, and I thought as a young person, not 100% sure what I wanted to do, I thought that would give me a really good grounding and give me a lot of experiences in kind of different aspects of business, to really allow me to find, what I really enjoy doing. So yeah, it started off, I was doing kind of social media management and general bits of admin for small businesses in the area. And it's kind of evolved. Early on, I was kind of thrown in the deep end with client meetings and networking events, getting to meet other business owners. And to be honest, I think that really helped me progress as a person in terms of confidence, and also in terms of as a career path. Because I think there's a lot of people that when it comes to networking and maybe client meetings, they kind of hold off, and naturally it is a daunting thing, especially when you're first starting. But I think the fact that I started so young, I think that really did help me.
Yeah. And when you started 7 years ago, did you think that you'd still be here 7 years down the line?
Not at all. It was kind of a, let's try this apprenticeship. Let's see where it goes. Hopefully, I managed to progress maybe to a full-time role after that apprenticeship. And, as the years have gone by, I've kind of progressed in my role. I've been given some really amazing opportunities through the business. And, 7 years later, here I am. It was last year that I was made executive director. So yeah, I'm really grateful for all the opportunities that I've had so far.
Yeah. And how many staff are there at Bell for Business?
So we've got a team of 3, and the way it works is we kind of all specialise in our different aspects of the business. So we've got Louise, who's the founder and a co-director, and she focuses a little bit more on the accounts admin side and debtor chasing, whereas Adam, who's recently joined us, he may focus more on the telephone answering and general admin, whereas myself, I focus a little bit more on the marketing side, social media management and social media training for other businesses. And the reason why we do that is because naturally everybody has their own strengths. So if a client came to me with an accounts admin question, I would probably struggle and I'd be asking Louise kind of how to do things. Whereas if somebody came to Louise with a social media question, then naturally my strengths lie there and she would come to me with that.
Yeah. So what is it that you like about working in a service-based business?
The best thing I think about the business I work in is the amount of different clients that we work for, I could never be bored, because there's so many different things, so many different industries, so many different clients, so many different ways of doing things. So it's kind of one of them where you're doing something every day that is a little bit different to what you did the day previous.
And are there any sort of services that you offer that are particularly popular? Is there something that you do more than other things?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of social media management, that's something that's kind of always been one of our most popular services.
Yeah.
We've also got kind of general admin that's become even more popular over the last couple of years, particularly with sort of tradespeople and people in the construction industries, mainly because people in them sort of industries are better off being out on their tools doing the jobs rather than sat in an office doing admin tasks, or even worse, leaving it till 8 p.m. on a night and spending their evenings and weekends doing admin tasks.
Yeah. And so you've said you've got, a real wide range of clients. Can you give us some examples of sorts of businesses that you deal with?
Yeah, I mean, it is a whole range. So we've got mortgage advisors, we've got civil engineers, we've got engineers and boiler fitters. There is a whole range. Pretty much any industry, I'm sure there's something that we've covered.
And where are your clients? Are they local? Are they national?
Yeah, the majority of them do tend to be local, and the reason for that is because that's usually the people that we meet. It's the people that we go networking with and we introduce ourselves to. However, we do have a client based in Northern Ireland, who we've just been kind of referred to via a local business. We've been referred to this Northern Ireland company. We've got a couple of companies kind of more Lincolnshire side now that we're branching out to. But yeah, the majority of companies we work with are kind of East Yorkshire to Northern Lincolnshire at the moment. But I mean, the services we do, we can work remote, and we can do work pretty much across the country.
Yeah, yeah. And that was my next question, really, about how do you work with them? And is it all remote, or do you go in sometimes?
There are occasions where we do go into the office. It kind of depends on the service that we're carrying out. So there are clients that particularly Louise goes to for accounts admin, and she is in the office for them. But there's also the majority of clients we are just delivering remotely for. With the social media clients, I do like to get out every now and then, pop in, see them, maybe get a couple of photos as well. But again, it's kind of one of those things, particularly since lockdown. I think a lot of businesses have realised there's so much that can be done remotely. And even in terms of conversations, there's so many logging onto Zoom or Microsoft Teams where you can just have a conversation sometimes nearly as effectively as being in person.
Yeah. And what kind of results do people get from working with Bell for Business?
I think the biggest thing for business owners that I speak to is a lot of them just need more time. They need more time to be spending it with their family, they need more time just to be relaxing, or they need more time to be doing what they do best. So that could be on a site or speaking with their own internal customers rather than having to keep up to date with social media or admin or, telephone answering, something like that.
Yeah. So how have you decided on which services to offer? Is it what clients have been asking you for?
Pretty much, yeah. We like to kind of have it as we can cover pretty much anything clerical based. So we've had so many bespoke inquiries over the years that we can handle and we can deliver the service for. So, if it is anything office based, we can definitely have a look, have a conversation, and the majority of the time we can help with it.
Yeah. And are there any things that you don't do, any services that you wouldn't offer?
So, I mean, in terms of the accounts admin that we offer, that is purely accounts admin. So we're not qualified accountants. We don't claim to be. We don't ever want to kind of step on any toes there. So there are certain times where a potential client may ask us to do something that that is better suited to an accountant. And at that point, we will advise and say we can do the admin side of it, but it's best to kind of send this to an actual professional within that industry.
Our sponsors this week are the Empowered Extend podcast, where the team talk openly about poo, sex and disability. Yeah, the real stuff that too many people shy away from. This podcast is there to break taboos, spark conversations and inspire change together. Join the team on Empowered Extend to amplify voices, smash stigmas and create space for every story. Find Empowered Extend wherever you listen to your podcasts or give them a follow on Facebook. Now, you mentioned that one of your specialties is the social media side of things. Are there any top tips for social media that you can share with us for small businesses?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many features on these social media platforms now, many of them free, that go underutilized, I think. So if you're a product-based business, maybe looking at easy, simple things like Facebook Marketplace, it's just another way of getting your business out there. Other things on Facebook, such as Facebook groups. At the minute, if you just put a post on Facebook to your business page, it will pretty much only go to a fraction of the followers that you have. Unless you're sharing it into business groups, then you're expanding the amount of people that are seeing that content that you've posted. So that's another good way of getting the business out there. Another tip that I would have is searching on Facebook for particular terms. For example, so there's the search tab at the top where people use that most commonly to find a friend and connect with them, send them a friend request. But you can actually use that for your business. So we used it regularly. For example, let's say I'm working with a plumber that's wanting more boilers, to fix. I will search, can anybody recommend boiler repair hull, or even just a simple term as boiler repair hull, and I can see everybody that's posted recently saying things such as, my boiler's broke, I'm in Hull, can anybody recommend someone? And then you can reach out directly to them, send them a message, and introduce yourself. I mean, also Google Business is another big thing that businesses need to be using. It's basically just a feature of your business, but it's really good for SEO as well. It's free to be on. So if any businesses aren't on there, I would really recommend that. And there's certain things you can do to increase your visibility on that, such as encouraging your clients to send reviews. And these are fairly basic, easy things that businesses can be doing that would have a huge benefit. And the key thing is, it's not going to take much out of your budget, if anything.
Yeah, those are some really, really good tips there. Thank you for that. So let's talk about networking now then. I know that you like a bit of networking. What sort of networking are you currently doing?
We do a whole range of networking across kind of various groups. We've been members of the FSB for many, many years, so we always like to do a lot of networking that they offer because it's part of the membership. So there's lots of online networking, but also in-person networking as well, which I do prefer. In lockdown, I actually hosted an online networking group, which you were a part of.
Yeah.
But it was kind of only meant to be a temporary thing, just for lockdown, because I do still believe, even though online networking is great, there's still nothing quite like in person getting to meet local people.
And what do you get from it?
So in terms of networking, we get a lot of new connections. It's always the case with networking. I don't think you can go to an event and expect to get business that day. For us, it's much more longer term. So we'll meet people, we'll connect with them, we'll follow them up, because following up is a really important part of networking. But it may be a case of a year, 2 years down the line, they may get in touch then and say, I've got a need now for admin or social media. So it's very rare, although occasionally it does happen where you get a result on that day from that networking session, it's all about building connections with people over the years. You may have to meet them 4 or 5 times, and then you get that know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And that's really important from networking. But yeah, we over the years we've got so many leads and so many referrals from networking, and it's key to the business.
Yeah. Now, I think the last time that I saw you was at the Chamber of Commerce Expo. Do you find that
Yes.
events like that are worth going to?
Yeah, definitely. Many of those events are free as well. Obviously, you can pay to exhibit, but yeah, many of those events are free, and it's just a great way of getting yourself in the room, meeting people in your area, finding out a little bit about their business, and you getting the chance to introduce what you do as well. So I really do enjoy those. I really enjoy particularly the speed networking sessions that often happen, just because I think that is a really good way, even though it's very intense,
Yeah.
it's very quick, you may come out of it with a headache, but it's a really good way of just kind of meeting as many businesses as possible, getting an introduction in. They are short and snappy, but that's why it's always important then to follow up after, maybe arrange a separate call with the people that you really had a connection with and you think it could lead to something.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you been networking since you joined Bell for Business when you were 16?
Yeah, I have. So it was within weeks. I started networking. So I was, like I say, 16, straight from school, going into these sort of networking events, which is quite an interesting thing because at that time, I was definitely the youngest in the room,
Oh, yeah.
probably by far. Yeah. Um, but that's quite interesting just because it does kind of impact the way you have conversations, and potentially some of those conversations initially are based on my age. I get a lot of people coming up to me and say, wow, you're young, how old are you? But I kind of like to use that as a little bit of a strength, just because in these networking sessions there's so many people. A lot of people may offer the same services as I do, so I like to see it as something that's a little bit unique and something that people may kind of remember about me, because it can be hard to remember names and faces of
Yeah.
people when you've gone to a session and you've met 30 different people. So I do kind of like to use it as a bit of a unique selling point that hopefully people will kind of remember me by that.
Yeah. And I should think you're probably still pretty much the youngest person in the room, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm 23 now. So yeah, pretty much the majority of events that I go to, I am still the youngest at a lot of these events, which I like to see it as a positive. I think there may have been sometimes in the past where potential business owners or potential people in those events may have been less likely to have a conversation with me, maybe because they thought, because of my age, I wouldn't be able to potentially benefit them. So they may have thought I may not have been able to be a decision maker.
Yeah.
But and I do understand that, of course. But yeah, I mean, at the age of 16, I was networking and making kind of big decisions on the internal operations of the business. So I was networking, meeting IT companies and VoIP providers for our telephone answering, and because of those introductions, that's changed kind of how we work in terms of the suppliers we use. So I think it's important that kind of no matter the age of someone, it's still always worth having a conversation because they may be able to benefit you still.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that networking has changed over the years that you've been doing it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I started, I think my first couple of events were probably 2017, 2018, and the majority of them were in person. Now, obviously, there is the option of having the online ones as well. For some businesses, somewhat like myself, it does work because we can work with companies right across the country. And that's a perfect opportunity for me to connect with companies in London, Edinburgh, much further afield, which I wouldn't be able to do if I was, doing in person, just because it would take so much time out of my day. So I think that is an interesting standpoint. And also with networking now, I find it to be a little bit more personal, which I really do like. There's kind of key phrases which people buy from people, which is really true. So, networking, of course, you go there to sell. Of course, you go there to promote your brand. But you've got to kind of have some sort of connection with the people at these events, or they won't be interested. I always find with networking, you've got to focus on what you can give to other people rather than what you can take out of these events. So it could be, giving knowledge, sharing knowledge, finding ways you can actually help that business. One, that's good because it's just nice to the people that you're meeting. Two, they'll value you for it because you've helped them. But three, if you're able to share knowledge, particularly about your industry, that will help massively because it will show that you do actually understand what you're selling and what you're there to promote.
Yeah, absolutely. So one final question, Connor. If people want to know more about you or about Bell for Business, what's the best place for them to find you?
Okay, so the best place to find out more information on Bell for Business, obviously we're really active on social media, so it's just at Bell for Business on kind of all the major platforms. We've also got a website which has information on all of our services and how we work, and we also update our blog posts regularly. So our website is www.bellforbusiness, it's the number 4.co.uk.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, and it's been great to catch up with you.
Perfect. Thank you, Liz, and thank you again for inviting me on to the podcast.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.